Okay, the New York stock market is open officially for some trading, so we're going to do a quick update on the trading activity since early London trading session here. Let me set up another chart. Okay, we're looking at the pound dollar now, and I want to start off with this one because this is where a lot of the activity set up. For me, it was last night. It was during the late Asian session before we got into the London trading session. So this particular candle here, it really started or had a lot to do with the comments being made about Brexit, and then later on the comments. We could tell that it was going to pick up. This is actually a T3 pattern, by the way, before I go on. But we could tell that it was probably going to go sideways. This is a common pattern. You get some activity, you get a comment, you get maybe some news or something like that. It'll push price up to a major resistance. That was this week's high. It didn't necessarily close above that for a continuation breakout trade, but eventually afterwards it does. The T2 pattern, I'm not going to go over the T2 pattern. It's in the coaching section under its own module for the T3 pattern. The T2 pattern is a reversal. I apologize. The T3 is a breakout of resistance when it acts just like this one. So it gives us the same behavior or the same expectations as far as the breakout, just like the continuation breakout trade would. But the confirmation of the T3 breakout is the continuation breakout trade eventually when it does finally close above that resistance. So again, I go through in detail how to do that. But as we're trading this in the chat room, some traders, some coaching students call it the chat room. It's a live trade call. Coaching call is what I refer to it as. So this goes on during the London and New York trading session. So I'm executing these trades live and then calling them out with my coaching students from 3 a.m. New York time to 1 p.m. New York time. So when trades like this set up and I can see the activity, but I may not be in the chat room at that time, I'm going to send out an alert to my coaching students so they're aware of it. So I'll indicate that this is going to be something like a T3 pattern, and then of course we're waiting for the trade to pick up momentum and continue along the way afterwards. So again, with the comments about Brexit, and then afterwards the comments about, excuse me, I've been talking for hours. The comments about faster paced interest rate hikes for the UK. This is all the confirmation that we needed, right? We get it technically, and then we get confirmation of the fundamentals, whether it's a political statement, something to do with interest rate hikes or economic data. So the entry on this one, when I called it out, was 1.2855. But afterwards, with that closed completed candle, if we were to use a 3-pip entry with an entry of 1.2873, I projected our take profit level here at 1.2928. So getting in at 1.2855, we were able to earn more on this trade because it really started off as a T3 pattern. Again, I go into the details about the T3 and how it breaks out and moves and behaves like a continuation breakout trade and what confirmation you actually need. But I call these trades out, and then I tell all of my coaching students precisely where I'm taking profits so that they can do the exact same thing. 55 pips stop loss on this one. So this one paid, and we earned well over 55 pips. But if you were to calculate it, a couple of coaching students did come into the chat room a little bit later, and they traded it as a continuation breakout trade. But at that point, we had confirmation that it was a T3 and then the continuation breakout trade and then the 55 pip take profit based on that. So some students were able to get 55 pips. Other students traded it with me for an additional, excuse me, 20 pips on that trade. So far, we've earned over 140 pips this morning. This is very different, the activity, trading in a live coaching environment where I'm calling out these trades, because as these trades set up, I call out these trades, give you the take profit levels. I tell you when I'm getting into these trades and when I'm getting out. Not all coaching students are going to execute every one of these trades. Some of them will execute 1 or 2 of the trades. Other coaching students will execute all of these trades. They will make the necessary adjustments to the amount of leverage and capital that they're using per trade so that they can join in and participate on all of these trades. So I'll show you the other trades that we had this morning so far. We've got the euro dollar still in play. So we have a continuation breakout trade here on the euro dollar. I called out the entry of 1.1367. So far we've hit our first target here for the first 20 pips. Now in some situations with the continuation breakout trade, I will scale out. The final target, or the only target for the most part, on the continuation breakout trade for the euro dollar or the pound dollar is 55 pips. But in situations where I'm not really too sure that it's going to hit that 55 pip, there's different reasons why that would happen. There's multiple levels of resistance. It still hasn't cleared this week's high. We are in a solid downtrend. It hasn't reversed and taken out any significant highs in this downtrend, which is here for the week's high so far. In my opinion, this is the one level that I'm going to be looking at to confirm that it's going to continue a little bit higher. But it is a continuation breakout trade. It is a double bottom down here on the larger time frames. So I'm trading it carefully to ensure that we make some profits. So we scale out at the first 20 pips, lock in some profits, set the second half of the trade at a break-even stop so that if price comes all the way back down here to, depending on the spread, 1.13, let's say 68, it would get stopped out on that second half at 0. So we wouldn't earn anything, but we wouldn't lose anything on that second half. But we would still protect the profits, the 20 pip profits so far earned on the first half of the trade. However, if the trade continues and the trend remains strong, this is our expected take profit level at 1.4223. That would result in a total of 55 pips from that entry to that final target. This trade is still active. We've earned 20 pips, so no matter what, even if it doesn't hit that 55 pip final target and it stops and comes back down, we won't lose anything. We will have only earned 20 pips on this trade. Dollar yen, I'm not trading dollar yen until just like the last few minutes here or so, where I got another push to the downside. I could see the push to the downside and I could see where it was likely to go, but it's pretty choppy right here. And I won't take trades like this just because it's an open, active moving candle. I mean, you never really know. The price could move lower and then turn around and go right back up again. I wait for confirmation. So I'm going to keep an eye on the dollar yen, but I haven't traded it just yet, but I have traded the crosses. So looking over here at the pound dollar with the breakout and the activity during the Asian and London session here, this was again another T3 pattern. So I've got the charts compressed pretty tight here because I want to show you what's going on. But I'll open it up here in just a minute. And this one, so in a situation like this again, where a continuation breakout trade normally on the pound yen, I'm going to be trading it to that 250 pip take profit level. Again, as I said a moment ago with the euro dollar, if it's a particular environment where I need to be a lot more careful, then I'm going to scale out on a trade like this. Very often, if I'm going to be scaling out of a trade and I want to ensure that I lock in some profits, if I don't have clean Fibonacci extension targets, I removed the Fibonacci extension targets here because everything was just cluttered here with the price tags. But if I don't have clear Fibonacci targets, extension targets, because I can't use the tool correctly because of consolidation, then I'm going to be targeting psychological levels. At the same time, psychological levels will also line up with extension targets or pivot points. So let me show you what we did here. So again, this is the pound yen. I called out the entry as price was pushing through the high. Again, this was a T3 pattern similar to the pound dollar. This is a T3 trade. So the entry that I called out was 145.10. And our target here was 145.80. I couldn't put the price tag there on 80, so I just stuck it there at 79. But 80 was our take profit level. And you can see how they start to line up with the psychological levels that I trade to start to line up with the pivot points. If the trend continues and it continues to move a lot higher, the 150 pip target is here at 147. That would be our target here on this trade. And then, of course, the continuation breakout signal candle developed afterwards, after we got into the trade, the T3 pattern. That's confirmation of the T3 pattern. And the entry would have been, if we would have only received the continuation breakout trade, the entry would have been 145.46. So again, at that point, we're still looking for a possible take profit target here at the 147, but we've locked in profits from 10 to 80. So we've earned approximately 70 pips minus the spread. So again, the psychological levels are normal targets that I would trade to when price starts acting just like this. It gets a little bit choppy. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attempts. These are 1 hour candles, and price just isn't going a whole lot further. It doesn't mean that it's going to stop and turn around and come back down. It's just that we've got to get paid. We put in 8, 9, 10 hours. We've got to get paid. We've got to lock in some profits. We don't know exactly what's going to happen later. It looks like everything will probably continue in this direction to the upside with the pound dollar, the pound yen, and the euro dollar. But you never really know. So it's good in a situation like this, especially with the way the markets have been reacting. It's getting to the point where, and it goes in cycles. It happens. Market's going to react to comments or political statements, things like that, whatever the case might be. And again, you want to secure profits. You want to lock in profits. There's no reason to sit here and hold on to a trade when we're already up 70 or 65 pips, insisting that this is the final target and we've got to take that. Scale out, lock in profits. Everything's going to be fine. Everything will line up just the way it's supposed to, and it'll continue to move just the way it should. And if it doesn't, then we've already locked in profits anyway. So let's go back over here to the euro dollar. So the euro dollar, until it takes out that high and it moves with some strength during the New York trading session, I'm still thinking everything remains intact. This is still going to be a good trade. Again, the final target here on the euro dollar is 1.1423. If it doesn't, we have still already locked in 20 pips. So we're up over 140 pips so far with these trades that I've showed you. I do want to review a few things here. So we're going to take a look at the dollar. This is the dollar index. 1 hour time frame. I look for the same patterns. So if I'm going to be trading breakouts on any of the other currency pairs, especially the majors, I want to see confirmation here. So, for example, you've probably seen some of the videos where I'm trading the dollar yen, but I'm using Japanese yen futures for confirmation to help. There are other things that I'm looking at and looking for, but this is an easy tip and an easy strategy for you to apply if you're just using, let's say, for example, MetaTrader. Take a look at the dollar. Make sure that the dollar is moving in the, let's say if you're trading the euro dollar or the pound dollar, you want to make sure that the dollar index is giving you confirmation. There are times when the euro dollar is going to move all by itself in its own way. It's a separate economy for the most part. Everything is globally tied together, but you get my point. There are those moments where economic data for one particular zone or country can cause some activity while the rest of the market's sort of going flat and doing nothing. And there's no reason for it to react except that one for that particular event. Regardless, though, I am looking for these situations where if I'm going to look for a breakout across the board on the majors to the upside, euro dollar, pound dollar, I want to see possibly the continuation breakout trade to the downside set up here on the dollar index. That'll give me another sense of confirmation here. And then I would look for the same basic strategies and targets as well. So this is my next support level down here at 96.19 or 20 area. It doesn't have to hit it, but it looks like it probably could eventually, and then maybe even take it out if we were to go to the I think it was a 4 hour chart that I was looking at. Yeah, the 4 hour chart so far. This is the 4 hour chart dollar index. At this point, I'm looking at this new A high, and I need to wait and confirm for a B low. So far, I don't have that confirmation of a solidified B low just yet. So when that happens, obviously it might happen sometime next week, or maybe tomorrow, Friday, something like that. It's going to give me that new A high, B low, and then I would draw in my and then start to use the Fibonacci tool, and then notice the depth of the retracement. And then if again later on, sometime next week, a candle comes down and takes out the B low for a continuation breakout trade to the downside, then I have some expected or extension targets that I could hope to trade to based on technicals and support. I'm talking way down the road. We're sort of forward thinking here. It hasn't even happened. But if and when it does happen, I'll walk you through that. So yes, at the same time in the chat room, I'm also showing my charts and doing all of this. Everything that you see and sharing, everything that I'm sharing with you today, right now in this video, is exactly what I do in the chat room. So I'm walking through each one of these setups, all of the confirmation that I'm looking at, I obviously go a lot deeper with other platforms on the chat in the chat room. And then finally, I want to talk about we trade more than just the Forex. So I'm going to point out other opportunities for coaching students who have the ability to trade other markets. For example, futures, gold, oil, cryptocurrencies. I do the same thing. I'll show you a setup here on Bitcoin too from a few days back. But this is gold. And you know, when we see these turns in the market, sometimes gold and silver, specifically gold, will react. Oil will too at times, depending on what it is. But this was a perfect opportunity to trade this breakout a few hours back. So this was the continuation breakout trade, 1 hour time frame, gold. This is a gold chart, and the entry was 12.23 with a first take profit at 12.28, just above that pivot point. And then the next final target here would be 12.33. Now that's not to say that it won't go any higher. It certainly can. But for day trading inside of this range, I'm comfortable with this. This is exactly what I want to do. I want to ensure that we're locking in some profits. We're day trading here. We're not swing trading. Swing trades would be an entirely different video, an entirely different lesson on different charts. But you get the point. If we're going to be day trading, this is a perfect opportunity. So I call out these trades as well, for those who want to trade it. And then the final one that I want to show you here is what we're doing with Bitcoin. So this is a Bitcoin chart. This is the MetaTrader platform. This was a continuation breakout trade to the downside a while back. Our entry was here at 62.90, and we traded it to, the first target was 62.20. Again, another psychological level. And then the final target was at 6,200. That spike low right there caused that move to the 6,200 level. I think it went as low as 87. 87, and then it pulled right back down. But we were out of the trade at that point. So there were two different levels that we scaled out of the trade. Continuation breakout trade. I call out these trades, and it works just like this whenever we get the opportunities. So again, we're up over 140 pips. If everything remains intact and the trends continue, we will probably pick up, again, the remaining distance here from that first take profit level at 87 to 23 on the euro dollar, and then the pound yen, if it continues to move up a lot higher, that final target here is at 147.00.